Hey guys, welcome to Scale Wheels. Hey, so I've been asked some really good questions over the past few days, and the first one I wanted to address was if you're starting out, what is the best, or how do I start, and what kind of kit should I be looking at to start with? So what I thought I'd do is run you through the types of kits which are good to start with, and what are getting into the more advanced stuff as well. So, but the first answer I usually say is, well, it depends what you're into. If you're looking at traditional cars like American muscle cars or JDM cars, or I love the Bazooka cars, the crazy Bazooka cars, or Formula One. I'm a huge Formula One fan, so I built a lot of those cars. There are so many to choose from. Of course, the Japanese and some of the American brands, you can't go wrong with those, especially Tamiya. Tamiya, I would strongly recommend you look at those. If you're starting out, Tamiya is one of those kind of manufacturers. Their kits are beautifully engineered, most of them, and they have a massive range of subjects you can choose from as well. Case in point, if you're into Formula One, there's a very classic one, the six-wheeler. Their kits are really nicely engineered. They come in a different range of styles. This is a 70s Formula One car, from 60s right up to the modern day cars. What you'll find though is with the licensing fees that a lot of the big teams are charging now, the manufacturers like Ferrari and that stuff, you'll find the prices are going to get quite high as well. So these ones, not so bad. You probably can pick these up brand new from a hobby shop for about $80, not bad. Where the more modern cars like the Ferraris, I think the last Ferrari that Tamiya released, the SF70, it's really expensive. You're looking at 160 to $200 for that, and that's usually due to the licensing fees that Ferrari charge. So just keep that in mind. Other brands, Fujimi, they make some really nice subjects as well. What I find is some of their subjects are not quite as accurate, and the fitting is nowhere near as nice as Tamiya. Because one of the things you'll find you'll need to do with, as you get into the more advanced stuff, which I'll talk about shortly, you need to do a lot of dry fitting, a lot of engineering, a lot of, see a lathe behind me, occasionally that gets cranked out because you've got to return parts. But you don't have to worry about that until you're into the more advanced stuff. But these are great. Generally, I call them shake and bake because most of the parts, 90% of the parts, will fit straight away. If you're into the American muscle cars, these kind of cars are great. AMT, really good, well-known brand. They do a lot with their vendors as well, so the accuracy of their kits is usually very good. Aoshima, if you're into the Japanese cars, I like these because I find these as a good break in between doing the really demanding multimedia kits, which I'll talk about in a second, which like for Model Factory Hero, which require a lot of work, a lot of engineering, and sometimes you just, after you finish them, you just want to do something simple. So I like doing these. There's something simple to do, and you can go to town. You can chop them, lyre them, slam them, widen the stance, and have a lot of fun with these things. And there's lots and lots of upgrade kits for these too. These kind of kits, so you get different wheels. You can buy body kits for them and have a lot of fun. And these kits here are generally around the 70, 80. Sometimes they get into the $100 mark again, but it depends on the licensing fees and the subject you're looking at. So yeah. So with that, those are generally the good ones to start with. If you want to get into the bigger scales, like the big 12 scales, I built a lot of 12 scale kits. I would suggest before you go down that path, start with these smaller scales like 24th, 25th, and 20th scales if you're into Formula One. Mainly because the 12th scale kits, they are expensive. And there's just so many more parts to them, right? If you're wanting to get into some of the subjects which none of the manufacturers do, a lot of the older style cars, I love the 1950s, 1960s Formula One cars, which no one seems to do anymore. And so you get these garage kit manufacturers like Model Factory Hero. Their stuff's extremely expensive but beautifully engineered. They will do them, and they use materials such as resin and metal, all right, and what they call vac form plastic as well, which is basically a sheet of plastic, and they put it in a vacuum over a mold and just sort of sucks it into a form. that's requiring quite advanced modelling skills. So I wouldn't suggest you touch one of those kind of kits until you become comfortable with these plastic kits and going from there. So like case in point, here's a engine block of a Porsche Le Mans 24-hour car I'm working on now. Very heavy. That's got 40 or 50 parts just to that alone, and some of them are so tiny. You're going to need to get magnifying glasses, these kind of things. I'd strongly recommend if you're getting into detailing, these typical ones here, and they actually have a light on them as well, so you can actually see where you go. These are, in New Zealand, they're around $70, and they're very good. I've got 2 of them, and I use them on multiple benches just because my eyes are bad. So, but anyway, back to the cars, and then resin. You've got these really nicely engineered resins from the likes of Model Factory Hero, and some of the other garage kits. This is a Club M car. You've probably seen it on my scale wheels page. This is one I'm about to start, which is a 1/20th scale Williams FW16 Ayrton Senna's car. So this is all resin. So the properties of resin is quite unique. That it's a little bit harder to work with than plastic. And people say it's toxic. It's not so much toxic. It's the when you sand it, it's the all the dust that comes out of it. If you don't really want to breathe it in. And plastic is a lot less dangerous to work with, I suppose you can say. And with these multimedia kits, they usually come in pretty plain looking boxes too, not nicely, beautifully artwork boxes. They usually come in boxes like this. Pretty boring. But inside there's just parts, sitting like this, all really loose, and you've got to figure out where they go. So that's why I say they are for the more advanced modelers, because the instructions are obviously, some of them, this one's actually handwritten, and it's all in Japanese. So thankfully I know someone who speaks fluent Japanese, and he's been translating it for me. So so definitely if you're starting out, these ones available from pretty much any hobby shop. If you want to get into the big scale kits and you're not sure where to go, they are getting harder to get hold of. There's some good brands. Italeri have really raised their game recently and released some beautiful big scale kits. But again, they're getting towards the advanced modeler, and I would say knock a couple of these smaller ones off first. All right. If you do have any questions, or you want to know some really good subjects that have been released, just fire some messages through to me onto the channel, and I will more than happy to answer them and share some ideas with you as well. There's also some good places where you can buy them secondhand at reasonable prices as well. So hopefully that helps. I'm going to get back onto talking about preparing kits for painting. Lots of questions around how do you get that mirror finish, that real flawless finish on your body panels and your cars, and I'll be getting onto that shortly, which is of course the secret is generally preparation. So that's what I'll be getting on, and you'll be seeing another 1 or 2 videos coming from me this weekend on that subject as well. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Feel free to fire any questions away, and I'm more than happy to have a chat with you. Thanks guys, bye.